Zara was the kind of woman who turned heads without trying, not just in her city, everywhere she went. She walked like her body was carved from the sun and dipped in honey. Her waist was poetry, her voice silk, and her skin glowed with that expensive softness only money could maintain. People said her hips could cause accidents if she passed too close to traffic. From Lagos to Accra, from wedding receptions to art exhibitions, Zara was known. Not just for her beauty, in which was undeniable, but for the kind of aura that said you can look, you can want, but you will never be enough. She wasn't born rich, she was born strategic. Her late father, Chief Zubair, left her a small real estate empire, but it was Zara who turned that empire into a kingdom. By 29, she owned 2 Airbnbs, had a skincare brand that influencers begged to promote, and a verified social media presence that kept her life curated like a luxury museum. Zara didn't chase men, she filtered them, and her filter was elite. She liked men who smelled like black card credit limits. Men who didn't ask what Zara did for a living because they'd already read her Forbes Africa feature. Men who could cook, but not because they had to, because they chose to. Men with deep voices, taller than 6 feet, soft hands, no baggage, and the ability to make a woman feel adored without being soft. Not too controlling, not too submissive, and definitely not broke. She didn't say it out loud, but in her mind, she had always known, I deserve everything. The man I end up with, he must not only match me, he must elevate me. Zara dated, yes, but no one lasted. One man was rich but too clingy, texting her 30 times a day like she was lost luggage. Another was sweet but still living with his mother at 32, talking about building together. One looked like a model, but his idea of deep conversation was arguing over Jollof versus fried rice. None of them measured up. Her friends started to settle, marrying men who were safe, stable, or at least loyal. Zara. She rolled, her eyes at them with a smile too polite to offend. I'm happy for them, but me? I can't shrink to fit into a man's comfort zone. Her mother, Mama Halima, begged her to soften. My daughter, don't look for a man with perfection. Look for one with patience. It is better to be understood than worshipped. Zara would laugh. Mama, I don't want a man who worships me. I want one who knows how to worship. The woman, the life, the luxury. I don't ask for too much, I am too much. And so she waited. Filtered, rejected. Date after date, man after man. They came with roses, dollars, cars, big dreams. Some made her laugh. Some made her think. None made her stay. Until one day, in a private rooftop event filled with Lagos elites, she met someone who made her pause. His name was Malik, and everything about him said, careful, this one could be different. Malik walked into the rooftop party like he wasn't just invited, like he owned the view. Tall, smooth skin, jawline carved like it had been negotiated with God himself. He wore a black suit with no tie, sleeves rolled just enough to show his gold watch and veiny forearms. His scent, heavy with oud and confidence. The kind of man who didn't just wear cologne, he left it lingering in memories. Zara noticed him long before he spoke. He didn't rush toward her, didn't trip over himself like the others. He stood by the bar, sipping something expensive, and glanced at her once, with a look so casual, so calm, it made her pulse skip. Later that night, he found her near the glass railing, city lights. Behind her, phone in hand. Taking a picture, he said, voice like slow thunder, or just reminding the world it still can't touch you? She turned, caught off guard for the first time in years. Maybe both, she replied. They spoke, for 10 minutes, then 45. Then she realized her champagne had gone warm, and her friends were already inside dancing. He didn't ask for her number. He handed her his card, black, matte, minimal. When you're ready to talk about more than skincare and filtered love, stories, call me, and walked away. Zara held the card like it was a rare jewel. Malik Karim, private equity investor, head of a clean energy startup, owner of something clearly. The kind of man who didn't talk about money, but moved like his time cost millions. They went out 3 days later, not to a restaurant, not even to a yacht. He picked her up in a low, sleek black SUV, No driver. He drove himself, took her, to a rooftop garden at a private club that didn't exist on Google Maps. They talked about books, not brunch, global politics, not gossip, childhood traumas, not chocolate fountains. Zara found herself talking more than she planned, laughing, admitting, listening. He didn't try to impress her, and that was what impressed her the most. "You're not like the others," she said, twirling her wineglass. "I know," he replied, "that's why I came." For the next few weeks, it was like floating. He brought her handmade leather journals from Morocco, sent her voice notes of poems he liked, not the cringe kind, the type that hit the chest like a slow knife. He opened doors, listened like her voice mattered, texted good morning only if he truly meant it. She began to believe maybe, just maybe, this was it. He had money, class, mystery. He wasn't obsessed, but he was available. When he touched her back in public, she didn't flinch. She leaned in. When he looked at her, it wasn't with hunger. It was with recognition, like he already knew parts of her, even she hadn't unlocked. Zara didn't tell anyone yet, not even her friends. It felt too sacred, too delicate, like a flame she didn't want the wind of gossip to blow out. But just when she let herself believe, just when she let him in, just when she started seeing visions of shared homes. Barefoot. Sundays, kids with cheekbones sharp like his. Something shifted. It was small at first. A silence during a call. A joke she laughed at, but he didn't. A dinner where he checked his phone one too many times. Then came the first no. "Babe," she said one evening, lying across his couch in her silk robe. "I want us to do a couple's shoot in Marrakesh. It'll be a vibe, content and memories." He raised a brow. "For what?" "It's lifestyle, branding, influence." "I'm not your brand, Zara." Her smile froze. "It's not that deep, it's just—" "It is," he cut in. "I move in silence. I don't live for other people's likes." That night, she left early. No kiss, no warm goodbye, just the sting of a word she wasn't used to hearing. No. She told herself he was just tired. That he'd apologize. That it wasn't a red flag, maybe just maroon. But she didn't know it was the first crack. And Zara. She had no idea that Malik was not who she thought. And this time, it wouldn't just be disappointment. This time, it would shake everything. The next few weeks were like walking through smoke, not thick enough to suffocate, just enough to blur the truth. Malik didn't disappear. But he changed. His texts became colder, shorter. "Cool. All right. Busy right now." Calls went unanswered longer. Voice notes got replaced by empty silence. Zara tried to ignore it. She played it cool, posted fire pictures online, wore her boldest lipstick to brunch, laughed too loudly in stories, but her heart, it was pacing like stilettos on broken pavement. One evening, after 3 unread messages and 2 "we need to talk" thoughts she swallowed down, she asked him plainly, "Are we good?" Malik, sitting across from her in his minimal living room, eyes glued to a financial article, didn't look up. "We're fine. Why?" Zara crossed her legs slowly, skin glowing under her satin robe. "Because you've gone distant," he sighed, the kind of sigh that carries weight. "You want honesty?" She nodded. "Yes, finally." "You're intense, Zara. Everything has to be curated, controlled. Life with you feels like a photo shoot I didn't agree to." Her heart clenched. "So now I'm too much," she whispered. He finally looked up. "No, you're everything. But sometimes everything is exhausting." Zara laughed, soft and bitter. "You knew who I was from day one." "Yes, but knowing and living with it are different." It hit her harder than any breakup. Because it wasn't a breakup, it was erosion. A slow undoing of something she thought was solid. She left that night without finishing her drink, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't cry. She sat in her Range Rover, staring at the dashboard, her reflection dim in the black glass, and whispered, "Maybe. I need someone more solid, someone who doesn't break under pressure." 2 weeks later, she was at an art gala when she met Tariq. Light-skinned, fine like old Nollywood love interests, dressed in an emerald blazer and gold chain that kissed his collarbone. He didn't ask for her Instagram. He asked for her thoughts on the exhibit and he listened. Tariq was funny, charming, spontaneous. He didn't talk about stocks, he talked about stars. He didn't wear luxury to prove wealth. He wore thrift and made it look royal. Zara felt seen in a new way, not like a prize, more like a person. They talked all night. He drove her home in his old but spotless car, played slow Afro beats, and told her about his food truck dream. Gourmet street food, you know, local taste with global class. Just need the right partner. She liked his ambition, his humility, his warmth. Maybe she didn't need cold brilliance like Malik. Maybe she needed fire, flavor, a man who cooked with his hands and held her like poetry. Weeks passed. Tariq visited often, made her breakfast, left sticky notes on her mirror. Don't forget how magical you are. Drink water, love, not wine. Smile, it's dangerous. She felt light again. She even introduced him to her mother, Mama Halima, who served jollof and asked simple questions. Tariq passed the test. He was kind, respectful, talked about building together, but slowly, cracks returned. Zara started to notice things. The way his phone was always on silent. The way he borrowed money just until this deal closes. The way his stories didn't always match. Then, one night, after she'd transferred him $300K for a generator, for his kitchen unit that never launched, she opened Instagram and saw him tagged in a party with another girl, holding her like she was the queen of his budget. Her hand trembled. She called. No answer. She texted. No reply. The next day, his line was off. Just like that. Gone. Zara stared at her phone like it had cursed her. Again? She whispered. What? The hell is wrong with these men? But deep down, beneath the heat, beneath the pride, something inside her cracked just a little more. She didn't cry. She didn't block him. She just went silent. And when her friends asked, "Where's that chef guy?" she just said, "They never stay, they just visit." The thing about being known is that when you fall, the ground echoes louder. Zara had kept her heartbreaks silent for years, brushing them off with designer bags and filtered captions. But this time, something was different. After Tariq ghosted her, she tried to act unfazed. She posted a story of champagne on a rooftop, wrote new beginnings in cursive font. Her comments were filled with, "Yas, queen, your glow is disrespectful." They could never. But she didn't reply. Not even with emojis. Because the glow was gone. And the queen. She was tired. That week, Zara missed her manicure, appointment for the first time in 5 years. She cancelled 2 brand shoots. She didn't show up to her friend Kiki's bridal shower, the same Kiki who once helped her fake a smile after Malik said goodbye. Instead, Zara stayed in. In her massive apartment, cold and quiet, with too many rooms and not enough peace, she scrolled through her own profile, swiping through years of curated perfection, outfits, angles, luxury dinners, fake laughter, captioned quotes about self-love, and for the first time ever, she felt empty. "I have everything," she said aloud to her reflection, "yet it feels like nothing." Her mother noticed the change. Mama Halima arrived one afternoon with bags of food, unannounced, like she used to when Zara was still in university and hadn't learned to hide her pain in foundation. She found her daughter in a robe, silk makeup barely touched, hair wrapped, eyes distant. "Zara," she said, setting down a bag of vegetables, "when was the last time you ate something real?" Zara blinked. "I had a smoothie." "Smoothies are not food, baby. They're distractions." She chuckled softly, but her eyes held worry. "You look tired." Zara sighed. "I'm just, exhausted. These men, they come in like kings and leave like cowards. I try, Mama. I really try. I give them grace, space, everything. Still, they vanish." Mama Halima sat beside her and placed a warm hand on her leg. "They didn't vanish, Zara. They revealed." "Revealed what?" "That maybe what you want isn't what you need, and maybe, just maybe, you're not giving the kind of love you think you are." Zara looked at her mother, confused and slightly offended. Are you blaming me?" "No," she said gently. "I'm asking you to stop blaming them only." The silence after that was thick. Zara turned away. "I know what I deserve, Mama. I've worked too hard to settle." "Deserve," her mother repeated, "is a dangerous word when it becomes a shield." Zara didn't reply. The next week, a clip of her went viral. She had been at a brunch event, dressed in crimson, lips sharp, smile plastic, when a young woman had asked her, "What's your advice to women struggling in love?" And she'd said with a tired kind of confidence, "Raise your standards. Men are like shoes. Most of them don't fit, and the ones that do cost more than they're worth." The video blew up. TikTok loved it. Twitter hated it. Another bitter beauty. No wonder she's single. Hot but hostile. Sis is giving toxic Barbie. She didn't respond, but she read every comment, and deep inside, something began to break. Not just her heart, not just her pride, but the version of herself she had built so carefully for the world to worship. Zara stood in front of her massive mirror one night, the same mirror she used to pose in after every outfit change. She looked at her body and still fire, her skin still flawless, her face and still magnetic, but her eyes tired. She whispered to herself, "What's the point of all this if I'm still alone?" And for the first time since her father died, Zara wept. Not the pretty kind, not the dramatic movie cry, the ugly, silent, chest-twisting kind that no filter could hide. And that night, she slept on the floor, not the bed, too drained to climb. But fate, as always, watches from a distance, and just when Zara thought she was broken beyond repair, a knock came at her door. Not a man, not a miracle, just a letter. Hand-delivered, no name, no number, just a message written on soft cream paper in careful handwriting. "When you're tired of being admired and ready to be understood, come to the Old Garden Cafe in Iana district. No cameras, no followers, just you." Zara read it twice, then looked out the window. She didn't know what waited there. But for the first time in a long time, she wanted to find out. It was a strange morning. No makeup, no lashes, no hair laid to perfection. Zara wore an oversized hoodie, sunglasses and flat sandals. No one had ever seen her like that in public, not even her driver, who blinked twice. When she told him, "Drop me at Iana, I'll walk from there." The city smelled of heat and dust. The streets buzzed with their usual chaos. Horn fights, roadside suya smoke, boys yelling, preachers screaming through cracked microphones. Zara walked like a ghost, trying to be invisible, something she never imagined doing in her life. She found the cafe easily. It wasn't even a real cafe, more like a backyard-turned coffee spot with crooked wooden chairs and faded flower pots. The sign above the gate read, "Eden's Corner. Come." "Sit, come breathe." She stepped in. No AC, no Wi-Fi, no Instagrammable angles, just silence, the scent of fresh bread and soft jazz playing from a dusty speaker. And then she saw him. He wasn't tall. He wasn't dark and dangerous. He wasn't even her type. He wore a plain cotton shirt, reading a worn-out paperback novel, a mug of steaming tea in front of him. He didn't look up, didn't flinch, didn't double-take the way men usually did when she entered a room. Zara cleared her throat. "Excuse me." He looked up, calm, unreadable. "Zara," he said, like he already knew her name. "You came." She narrowed her eyes. "Did you send the letter?" He nodded. "Why?" He gestured to the seat across from him. "Because you needed it, and I needed to see something for myself." Zara sat, cautious. "See what?" He smiled faintly. "If the real you still exists, beneath the woman everyone sees." His name was Iomide. No business card, no luxury car, no curated confidence. He ran a small book exchange program for underprivileged teens and worked part-time at a mental health NGO. His world was quiet, grounded, raw, and unlike every man before, Iomide didn't chase her with flattery. He asked real questions. What makes you laugh when no one's watching? When was the last time you sat in silence without checking your phone? Do you love your reflection or the version you built for everyone else? Zara found herself stumped. They met again the next day, then again she wore no makeup. He never commented. She expected to impress. He didn't blink. "You're not trying to seduce me," she said one afternoon, annoyed. Why? Because I'm not here to consume you, I want to understand you. That night, she couldn't sleep. Zara started showing up more, not just to the cafe, but to herself. She read books Aomide gave her, helped him organize free reading sessions for street kids. She even went a whole day without posting anything online and felt weirdly free. She wasn't falling in love, not yet. She was falling into stillness. And in that silence, the noise in her head, the pressure, the performance, the pain, began to fade. One evening, after packing up plastic chairs from a street reading session, she turned to him. "Why me, Aomide? Why bother with someone like me?" He leaned against the wall, arms crossed, eyes soft. "Because I saw a woman drowning in diamonds, and I wanted to show her what fresh air feels like." She swallowed. "I've been cruel." "You've been scared," he corrected. "Scared of not being chosen. So you built a castle so high no one could enter, not even you." Zara blinked away sudden tears. "I've always wanted someone strong enough to handle me." Aomide stepped closer. "No, you've always needed someone gentle enough to hold you." Silence. Then Zara whispered, "And if I'm not enough?" He smiled. "Then we grow together." That night she went home, pulled out her old phone and deleted the notes app that still held her secret list, not because she stopped believing in her worth, but because she'd finally started believing in something deeper: healing, grace, growth, partnership, the kind of love that doesn't chase perfection, it builds peace. Zara hadn't posted on Instagram in 3 weeks. No selfies. No get ready with me reels. No slow-motion videos of wine pouring into crystal glasses. She didn't feel the need. Her days were simple now. Early mornings at Eden's Corner, afternoons with the street kids helping them read and write, evenings walking barefoot through the Ayana backroads, listening to Aomide talk about roots and resilience. And somehow all of it felt real, like she'd been asleep for years, dressed in diamonds, and finally woken up in a t-shirt and sunlight. She wasn't wearing designer anymore. She was wearing peace. Her mother noticed. Mama Halima came over one morning with garden eggs and groundnut paste, took one look at her daughter's plain dress and calm eyes and almost cried. "You look like yourself again," she said. Zara smiled. Maybe for the first time, but peace always invites storms. And hers came like it always had, disguised as attention. It started when a popular gossip blog got hold of a blurry photo. Zara, smiling under a mango tree, no makeup, laughing with street kids, Aomide in the background carrying a sack of books. The caption read, "Zara the Queen now dating a broke teacher." Then came the tweets. She fell off. Even queens get tired of pretending. Soft life didn't soft for long. Within hours her name was trending. Some defended her. Maybe she's healing, but most mocked her. She finally settled for peace because luxury didn't want her anymore. Zara didn't respond. She just read and breathed, but deep. Inside, something old stirred, the voice of her past whispering, "You left the throne, now they laugh at your crown." She went silent for 2 days. Even Aomide noticed. "Talk to me," he said, one afternoon after their reading session. "They're calling you poor," she replied, eyes hard. He chuckled softly. "I've been poor, it doesn't change who I am. They're saying I've fallen." He paused. "Did you?" Zara looked away. "I don't know." A week later, her uncle from the village, Chief Hassan, called. "Zara, my dear, they're talking in the village." "About what?" "About you. You haven't visited in years. And now the blogs are saying you're with some commoner. People are asking questions." "Let them ask," she said coldly. "You are still your father's name, Zara. Don't forget that. And I'm also myself." She ended the call, but something in her cracked again. That night she asked Aomide, "Would you still want me if the whole world mocked us?" He didn't blink. "Yes, because the world forgets, but love remembers." Her heart softened, but her pride still caged inside. 3 days later, she made a decision that shocked Aomide and herself. "I want you to come to the village with me," she said. "Why?" "Because I'm tired of people talking. Let them see me. Let them see us. He studied her. Are you going to prove something to them or something to yourself? Zara didn't answer, because she didn't know. The next weekend, they packed 2 bags and headed to Umuko, the village where her father had been king, her family still held land, and the name Zubair was spoken like royalty. She hadn't stepped foot there in almost 7 years. When she arrived, the whispers began before her heels touched the ground. Zara has come. She brought a man, not Malik, not the chef, someone else. Who is this one now? He looks like a librarian. They say she lives in Lagos and now dates a beggar, but she walked with her head high, not proud, not angry, just calm. Her wrapper was simple, her earrings plain. Her man by her side, Aomide greeted the elders with both hands, smiled gently, bowed in humility. And in that small village square, under that old mango tree where she once posed for her graduation photo, Zara finally said, "I didn't come to prove anything. I came to be seen." Silence. Then one old woman, Mama Kweku, stepped forward. She had known Zara as a baby, had wiped her tears once during a scraped knee, had braided her hair under the orange sun. She looked at her, then at Aomide. "You've changed, child," she said, "and that is not shameful, that is holy." Zara blinked, tears rising, and from the back another voice whispered, "She's no longer the queen we feared. She's the woman we understand." But not everyone was pleased. Some still rolled their eyes. Others laughed behind closed doors. But for the first time, Zara didn't care. Because for the first time, she wasn't fighting to be admired. She was finally learning to be loved. The days in Umuko were slower. Mornings began with the crowing of roosters, not iPhone alarms. Children ran barefoot. The air smelled of firewood and fresh rain. And for the first time in a long time, Zara didn't need to schedule her joy. She helped the women fetch water. She played cards with old men at dusk. She even taught a few girls how to read, using Aomide's worn-out flashcards. Her followers, still waiting for her return online. But Zara had found something better than likes: freedom. At night, she and Aomide would sit under the stars, backs against a tree trunk, sharing roasted plantain and stories. "I've never felt this soft," she told him one night, her voice almost shy. "Not weak, soft like the world doesn't need to be conquered every day." Aomide smiled, brushing her hand gently. "Softness isn't weakness, Zara. It's what lets things grow." She closed her eyes, and for the first time, she believed him. But storms don't send invitations. They just arrive. 3 days before they were to return to the city, Chief Hassan, her uncle, came to the compound with a folded paper and a frozen smile. "Zara, my dear, you've brought shame to this name." She blinked. "Excuse me?" He tossed the paper down. A printed screenshot from a gossip blog, her name again. This time with Aomide's photo captioned, "Ex-influencer Zara seen in village teaching barefoot kids, from glam to grass." And worse, the comments, "She really fell off. She was never serious. All that beauty wasted on mediocrity. So this is what happens when you chase peace over money." Zara read the words. Her hands didn't tremble this time, but her chest. It tightened, like someone had wrapped vines around her ribs and pulled. Chief Hassan wasn't done. "Our name built that village. Your father was a lion, a legacy. And you parade around like a charity case with a teacher, a man who owns nothing." Aomide, standing silently nearby, didn't flinch. Zara looked up at her uncle calmly. "What I've built now is worth more than what I was born into," he scoffed. "Then don't expect our land, our name, or our protection." He walked away. That night, Zara sat quietly in the small village room. The lamp glowed. The frogs croaked outside, and Aomide sat beside her, cross-legged, sipping warm tea. She stared into nothing. "Do you still want this life?" she asked, voice low. "What life?" he replied. "This one, with me. Attached to my name, my past, my noise. It doesn't. Stop. The more I change, the louder they get." Aomide didn't blink. "Do you want this life, Zara?" She turned her face toward him. "I don't know anymore. She didn't sleep that night. She walked barefoot into the fields and stood under the moon. The silence was so loud her thoughts echoed. Maybe I'm still not enough, she whispered to the wind. Or maybe I'm too much, even now, too broken, too loud, too stained. She had given up the glitter, the ego, the filters, and still the world had something to say. She dropped to her knees. For the first time in years she prayed, not for love, not for fame, just for clarity. God, if this is who I'm meant to be, let me survive it. The next morning she packed her bags, folded her wrappers, kissed the old women goodbye, thanked the children with tear-filled eyes. But Iomide? He stood at the gate, watching her quietly. So that's it? He asked. She hesitated. I need to breathe and think. You're running. I'm healing. There's a difference, Zara. She turned away, forcing her heart to stay cold. Back in the city, her apartment was exactly as she left it. Perfect. Empty. She posted a photo after 42 days of silence. Just a plain wall, no caption, no hashtags. Within minutes, 10K likes, and yet she felt nothing. No joy, no validation. Only the echo of Iomide's voice in her mind. Softness lets things grow. But she had left the garden. Days passed, then weeks. Zara slipped back into the city like a ghost returning to her old kingdom. The influencers welcomed her. The brands called again. The makeup artists tagged her. The world, it seemed, had been waiting, like nothing had. Changed, but Zara had changed, and pretending she hadn't was exhausting. She sat through events with forced smiles, champagne she didn't finish, and laughter that echoed like glass breaking in a quiet room. The woman they thought had reclaimed her throne was only wearing its ashes. One afternoon, after a lunch meeting filled with fake smiles and new contracts, she returned to her apartment, walked to the mirror in her hallway, the tall, perfect, one framed in gold, and stared at her reflection. Still beautiful, still glowing, still flawless, but the eyes? Tired again, empty. The kind of tired you can't sleep off. She whispered to her reflection, I miss me. That night, she did something she never imagined doing. She picked up her phone and typed out a message to Iomide. Are you still at the cafe? The reply came instantly. Always. She grabbed her bag, wrapped her scarf around her hair and left without foundation. No driver, no plan, no heels, just her. The cafe hadn't changed, still quiet, still smelling of baked bread and old books. And there he was, sitting on the chi. Same crooked wooden chair, reading a novel with a cracked spine and a cup of tea untouched beside him. He looked up, not with shock, but with softness. She didn't speak right away, just sat and breathed. Then finally, I ran. He nodded. I know. But I came back. He smiled. I know that too. Tears rose, but she blinked them away. I'm not asking for a clean start, Iomide. I'm not even sure I deserve one. But I know now the version of me that left this cafe, she was still afraid, she still wanted to be adored. But the woman sitting here now, she just wants to be understood. He reached for her hand, not to grip, not to own, just to hold. Then stay, not for me, for you, she exhaled. And something inside her, the last shard of ego, the final echo of shame, broke softly. Months passed. Zara didn't announce their relationship. She didn't post him. She didn't hashtag soft life. Instead, she lived it. She moved into a small home near the water, where the city's noise faded into ocean winds. She split her days between helping Iomide at his reading center and consulting brands with purpose. She wore simple clothes now, tied her hair back more often, walked barefoot sometimes, not because she had to, but because she wanted to feel the earth again, the world whispered. But she didn't hear them anymore, because something else was louder. Peace. A year later, in a quiet wedding under a mango tree in Umuko, with less than 30 guests, Zara married Iomide. No media, no glam, no throne, just a wooden arch, hand-plucked. Flowers and her mother wiping tears as she whispered, You met the right man after you became the right woman. Zara smiled, her heart full. No, Mama, I met the right man when I stopped trying to be the perfect woman and started becoming the real one. Today, Zara teaches young girls from both city and village not how to glow up, but how to grow inward. She tells them, "I chased men who fit my list, but none of them could satisfy what I hadn't yet faced in myself. Love isn't what you attract, it's what you're ready to hold. You don't need a man who can handle you, you need one who can hold space for you, while you hold space for him." The village, once full of whispers, now sings her name with pride. Zara the fierce, Zara the soft, Zara the whole. And every evening, under the same mango tree where it all began, she and Ayamide sit hand in hand, reading, laughing, building a life not built on luxury but on truth.